Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the virtual meeting of the Licensing Regulatory Committee, 11th of December 2020. I am Councillor Mark Newman, Chairman of the Licensing and Regulatory Committee. Can I first of all remind you of some of the domestic arrangements? Please ensure that your microphones are muted when you are not speaking. Please do not interrupt other speakers. Please use your hands up function to report a pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest, or to notify the chair that you wish to speak and or make a proposal. Members are reminded not to use the messaging chat function during the meeting. If you are attending the meeting to speak and persistently interrupt the meeting, you may be asked to leave. Additionally, you will be invited to speak and ask questions by the chair. Please await your turn. I would like to remind everybody present that this meeting will be broadcasted live on the internet and will be capable of repeat viewing. The whole of the meeting will be recorded except where there are confidential and exempt items. If you make a representation to the meeting, you will be deemed by the council to have consented to being recorded. By entering this meeting as a speaker, you are also considered to be being recorded by the council, and the possibly use of those sounds recordings for webcasting and training purposes. The council, members of the public and the press may record, film or photograph or broadcast this meeting when the public and the press are not lawfully excluded. Okay, now I'd like to introduce the officers attending the meeting. David, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
David Price, Licensing Officer.
Emma?
Emma Richbell, Assistant Manager, Food Safety and Licensing.
Nigel?
Nigel DeLue, Legal Advisor to the committee.
And Karen?
Good morning, Karen Sayer, Governance Officer.
Okay, right, we'll now move to apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies received from Councillor Dawson and Councillor Grandon. And I don't believe that Councillor Creswell is with us this morning.
Okay, thank you. Declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? Please use your hand function if there is any. No, none received. Right, we now move to confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 9th of October 2020. Are there any points regarding the accuracy of the meeting? No. Could I have a proposer, please?
I'll propose, Chair.
Sue. And can I have a seconder, please?
I'll propose, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Governance Officer, will you take over?
Thank you, Chair. Councillors, could you please open the vote in the modern.gov app by clicking the plus sign in the top right of the agenda screen and selecting attendance and voting. In the voting tab, the vote for this item will show in blue. Please click on the blue line to open the vote.
Mine's not working, I don't think. I've clicked it and the blue's gone off.
Councillor Newman, have you had trouble voting?
Yeah, let me just try it again. I clicked it on the blue and the blue went off. Let me just do it again. Voting. Voting, right.
If not, I can take your vote verbally.
Oh, it's come up now. Let me just click it for. I might as well try and do it properly because that's what you've got to do. Confirm. Confirm. Has that gone as a 4?
Excellent. That was unanimous. Thank you.
Okay. That's the minutes been accepted, and I will sign them at the first opportunity. Right, to receive notifications of petitions in accordance with the council's petition scheme. Any
None received,
petitions?
Chair. Sorry, Chair. None received.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Any questions by councillors?
None received, Chair.
Okay, right, we now move to paper BLR 20/5 Hackney Carriage Table of Fares. The licensing office, Dave Price, would do a report now, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'll briefly summarise for you. This report is to consider responses received during the public consultation exercise received against the revised table of fares for Hackney carriages operating in the controlled zone of the Babergh district, which the Licensing and Regulatory Committee approved for public consultation at the meeting of the 9th of October. I have set out 2 options there for you to consider today. The first option, that you consider no change is necessary to the revised table of fares that was advertised, or option 2, that you're minded to modify that table, and then from there you have recommendations on to Cabinet, and I would take questions from there, Chair.
Okay, any questions for David, please? Any hands up there? No, I don't think there is any questions. No, right. Hello?
It's Councillor Maybury trying to get from one screen to another to actually ask questions.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, can I ask the licensing officer, David Price, a few questions, please?
Yes, of course.
We've obviously had some replies from the licensing trade, and I wonder if we can discuss those, or is it not appropriate at this moment?
We can discuss them in the debate, I think. Or David, do you want to answer any questions now on that, or should we wait for debate?
I can ask her any questions now, Chair, if you wish.
Okay, yep. Margaret, if you'd like to ask David some questions then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have we just had the 2 replies, Mr. Price, please?
No, there'll be 3 replies.
3.
3 in option in Appendix C. There are 3 replies.
There are 3. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And I recall when we were discussing this before, we were looking at one taxi driver being the representative of the trade. Did that occur, or are we just taking all these individually, please?
No, it's not a word of one taxi driver. The consultation goes out to the whole of the taxi trade. We did a consultation previously back in February.
Yes.
As you know, that's why this is coming back.
Yes.
Then we did another public consultation in August before we even got to this stage. So this is a combination of the responses we got in August, and is why the table of fares has got to where it is today.
Right. So not one taxi operator was talking for the trade in the end.
No, not one individual. No.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I can see that you've had these written replies. Did you have any verbal replies as well, please?
No verbal, no.
No. Okay, fine. And can I just ask whether you have actually gone back to these taxi operators and asked for further information, or have we just taken what they have submitted?
Chair, I'm going to reply, but I think the assistant manager wants to say something as well. But I will say that each of the three have been responded to.
Okay,
Thank
Emma,
you.
would you like to say something? Emma?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I also wanted perhaps to remind members, if they weren't aware, that we also had a meeting via Teams earlier in the year between the initial consultation and the most recent one, where all of the trade were invited to participate in a sort of roundtable discussion as best as we could virtually. So we've taken also a lot of information from that meeting and fed that into the proposal before you today.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, may I come back again?
Yeah, certainly.
Thank you. Ms. Richbell, from that initial meeting via Zoom or an internet meeting that you had, can you remind the committee how many of the operators were there, please?
I can't as chair, but David or Emma, can you remember how many was there? Quite a few, wasn't there?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact numbers. Can you, David? But we had, I think we had about 15 or so people at that meeting, which were representing either operators or individual drivers.
It was
Yes.
very successful, and we got a lot out of it, actually.
Yeah, there were quite a lot of the trade were there, so it wasn't a representative of an individual one or two. It was a raft of the trade. There was about at least 20, as Emma Richbell has said, there were a lot there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to state, and I would like it minuted, that I did request to join in this meeting because I'd had representation from some of the taxi drivers. However, that invitation, although promised, never came forward. So for that, I would like to personally apologise to the taxi operators because I was not involved in that meeting. Thank you for answering those questions so far.
Okay, thank you. Right, right. We now move to debate, but to start it off, I'd like
Sorry,
to
Chair, I think we've got Councillor Beer with his hand up.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
sorry, it's not coming up on the screen with me here,
I
Councillor.
just knocked it off because I had to move the arrow to the mic because I'd got that off when you
Okay.
said you were moving on.
Yeah.
2 points following on from Councillor Maybury. I thought I also said at one of these meetings that I wanted to be involved in that particular meeting, but I don't remember hearing any more about it. But I certainly do remember it coming up, and I think Councillor Maybury may have been the one that highlighted it, and I said, well, I also feel I need to be involved. But anyway, moving on. Can I just ask? Sorry,
questions to the officer. They're not debate.
Yeah.
These are questions.
Thank you very much. But that was pointed out, and I just want to be clear that I also wasn't invited. These fees that we've now ended up with, are they aware? Are the taxi drivers aware of these? And were they aware of these in August when you had the last, I think it was in August, you said you had the last communications coming in from them, these 3 people. Have they commented on these fares? And if they have, how many people have commented? How many taxi operators?
Well, they've all the taxi drivers. David can come in when he likes, but all the taxi drivers have been contacted, and the only 3 letters we've got is what are on the paper today. I don't know, David, if you have anything to say on that.
Well, the table of fares was drafted following the August meeting with the trade. So from that meeting, the table was drafted. From that stage, we talked to a raft of operators, and there are 8 main operators and 7 one-man bands of Hackney carriage proprietors, and then from there, each driver has been written to, and each operator has been written to, as part of the public consultation exercise.
And you've not then had any responses back from those objecting or in favour? That's really what I'm trying to get to.
Apart from the 3 that you've got in front of you in those papers, they're the only responses that we've had.
And they were from individuals rather than from a organisation speaking on their behalf.
You've got two operators.
Yep.
So two main operators and one man band.
Thank you.
Okay.
So they're aware. Thank you.
All right. Is there any more questions for the officers? I'm looking for hands. Right. No hands. Right. We'll now move to the debate. So to start the debate off, I'd like to move that we go for option 1. I think we've discussed it on several occasions. We've given it a lot of time. It did go to Cabinet and it did come back quite rightly. We did have a consultation with all the taxi drivers and I thought that was really successful. It's gone out to them all. Everyone's aware of it all. We've had 3 letters, not really complaining about it, but with different suggestions, which you will get that. You will never make everyone happy. There'll always be this and that. You could do this better or not. So I'm quite happy to propose option 1 before we go to debate. Have I got a seconder, please?
I'll second, Chair.
All right. Thank you, Sue. Right. I'd like to now move to debate. Is there any discussion on this from anyone, please?
I've got my hand up. I don't know if you can see
Yeah,
it.
I can see that now, Peter. Very good. Thank you.
I'll put it down there and speak.
Yeah.
If we agree these are the option 1, no change, I'm sure it's there somewhere, but it's gone from my mind. When are we likely to review this, and or do we have to wait for some situation to cause us to review it, such as like a massive increase in fuel charges, or we get requests from the taxi drivers, or do the officers suddenly dream it up for some reason? Which is quite acceptable. Can you answer that, please?
I think that would be one for the officer again, David.
Thank you, Chair. We will review these annually and also in light of any changes. So if there's any changes within that year, if it's necessary, or if the trade feel that they need to want anything amended, then we'll take those comments on board.
Coming back on that, Mr. Chairman, so that means that you would bring it to our notice, we'll just say June time next year, or would it be December time, just saying that we're not going to review anything to do with the taxis, or that we are. How would we know that? That's what I'm trying to get at. Will there be a bullet point on one of the agendas?
It comes into action on the April the 1st next year, obviously after it's gone to Cabinet, Peter. But David, what's Peter's question there?
Yes, it will come back before members to either say that they wish to go back out to consultation again or not.
So
but we will look at it and then determine whether it actually needs revising or not. If we don't feel it needs revising, then we'll come before you and say you don't need to revise it.
And just following that through, if the taxi rank people write and asked or request for an increase, would that trigger anything to us or not?
It depends on the request. So
right.
if
that's something you'd discuss with the chairman and vice chairman, I would have thought. Right, that's fine. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Peter. Margaret Maybury. Margaret.
Thank you, Chairman. I would just like, perhaps it's a debate rather than a question, but it may be classed as just a question. The Appendix C from Mr. Hale, he's talking about the larger vehicles are majority are used for wheelchair users, and his concern was about discrimination for disabled users. Has it been pointed out to Mr. Hale that under 4.4 there is the operational discretion, and that the taxi drivers do not have to charge the larger or the higher rate for those larger vehicles, please?
I believe they are aware of this, but I will check. David, do you agree with this, that they are aware? I think we discussed this at the meeting.
Yes, Chair. Each proprietor is aware that they can charge less than the maximum table of fares.
And if I may come back, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Price and Mr. Hale was happy with that answer, was he?
Well, I don't think we had any problems with that at the meeting. It was discretionary, wasn't it? They can charge less if they wish.
It's discretionary now with the current table of fares, Chair.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand that, Mr. Chairman, but you had a meeting in August. The email from Mr. Hale is dated the 5th of November, and he is still asking the same question, I'm going to suggest to you, and I'm asking whether he has been replied to, and he acknowledges that he does not have to pay the higher rate.
David, can you help with this?
Mr. Chairman, I doubt
Yeah.
whether the taxi driver would respond to say that he's aware that he can charge less. I'm not sure whether he'd bother to do that. So I think we may have to take that if we've replied in that vein that he can charge less, that it's entirely up to him then. But I understand what Councillor Mabry has asked.
But it was discussed at the meeting anyway. So, anything to add, David?
Chair, do you want me to comment on that?
Yes,
All I
please.
can say that each respondee in this vein has been responded back to, and I've actually had a short verbal conversation with Mr. Hale. But as each driver is aware that they can charge less than the maximum, we do that in writing. We did that in writing as part of the consultation process, and we will be doing it again as part of whatever you decide.
Thank you,
Dave. That's your answer, Margaret. They are aware.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and that was my original question. You can look at it at the recording. I did actually ask if there had been any verbal conversations since these emails were received, and obviously the answer from the officer is that there have been verbal conversations. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Margaret. Right, is there any more debate on this? Otherwise, we'll go to the vote. No, right. Well, we'll go straight to the vote then. Karen, can you conduct the vote, please?
Thank you, Chair. Can I just check with David Price? Do we need to set a date?
Yeah, that would be the other. You first off decide whether you're doing option 1 or option 2. In this case, you're doing option 1, and then you will need to set a date thereafter.
Yeah, well, I've proposed option 1. I've got a seconder for option 1.
And then do the next part of the recommendation to Cabinet after that one.
Would the 5th of April be a reasonable date, Chair?
Makes sense.
I'm happy with that. 5th of April. Everyone happy with that? Officers,
yes,
happy with that? Yeah. Margaret?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I will remind you that was the date that I actually suggested previously. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for your suggestion, Margaret. Okay. Right, now can we go to the vote on this, please?
Thank you, Chair. So we've got a recommendation to Cabinet that the revised table of fares be adopted and that the varied table of fares to become effective from the 5th of April 2021.
Yep.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Councillors, could you please open the vote in the modern.gov app again by clicking the plus sign in the top right of the screen?
I've got to start again.
The plus sign, Peter, then.
Yeah, I know that. It disappeared from me.
And then you go to voting, yeah, voting to confirm the minute. All right.
Log on.
Right.
In the voting tab, the vote for this agenda item will show in blue.
It's told me, sorry, it says log-on's failed, so I'll verbally vote for it.
Okay, please click on the blue line to open the vote if you haven't already done so.
I don't know why that's happened, but it's no point to keep trying. I've tried it twice and it was log-on failed. We'll just try it once more before you close it.
Peter, you may have to go right into the early log on. You know, when you log on and put your password in, you may have to do that again.
Well, I shan't. But anyway, I'll just try this. Oh, it's asking for password. Perhaps let's try it. Just bear with me. I'll be very quick. All right. Yes, it's loading. Oh no, it's gone right back to the beginning. Oh, I can't do all that.
Shall I take your vote verbally,
yes, please.
Councillor Beer?
Yes, yep. Thank you.
And is that a vote for?
4.
That's unanimous then, Chair.
Okay, so that is now carried. Is there any more business, or is that all done?
That's all for today, Chair.
Yeah, well, I thank you all for attending and thank you for voting this through. And let's hope that the taxi drivers will be happy with what we've done for them. Thank you very much.
Sorry,
Goodbye,
Mark.
all.
I did ask to
Sue?
bring up about the taxi fares. If the committee are quite happy for me to contact Suffolk County Council, if I can explain to those I hadn't emailed, I found out that the taxi fare from Sudbury to West Suffolk is £60 return. However, those who have the vouchers, because they don't have a bus pass, they will only accept £20 towards that. So it needs to be looked at, because obviously from when this was decided, there's been a lot of changes.
Okay, I'm quite happy for you to contact County Councillor, and if you keep Councillor Beer in, our County Councillor, I'm sure he'll back you up. Thank you very much.
I've already been involved in it with Councillor
All right.
Ayres. Yeah. And can I just say, the reason that I then gave a verbal vote was because I would have to have done what was suggested, come right out and start all over again. That would have taken too long. Thank you very much.
Fine.
I must leave.
Right.
Bye.
I now close the meeting.